The Voluntary Conservation Agreement Program was conceived locally because of the dire need to protect large freehold blocks of cassowaries' essential habitat in Kuranda. In due course, these blocks will join together to form the greater cassowary corridors of the Wet Tropics. The narrowest part of the Wet Tropics World Heritage Area is right here in Kuranda. This is also where the Kuranda Range Road Kennedy Highway cut the World Heritage Area in half east to west. Preserving the rainforest canopy is critical on all remaining forested land in Kuranda. This is really what this program is all about, to streamline and fund the process for local landowners to protect their rural rainforest land. This process will formally recognise their property as a crucial nature refuge, providing necessary linkages for cassowaries and all wildlife now and for future generations of landholders.
It's always an absolute pleasure to come up to Far North Queensland. Everybody is so friendly and the environment is absolutely stunning, and I feel very privileged to be part of this fantastic team and organisations coming together to make a real difference to protecting a whole lot of habitat, particularly for cassowaries, because they are under threat in this area. So what my role in this process has been is to have a look at the properties and assist with helping the Nature Refuge process progress, so that the Nature Refuges can be registered on title and the land can be protected in perpetuity. So these 4 properties that we've been assessing are part of a huge network of nature refuges that we have across the state. So currently I think there are over 530 key, and they make up a significant portion of the protected areas that we have in Queensland. So on top of national parks, it does protect a lot of land. So these 4 nature refuges will be registered on title. That'll give them the near highest level of protection that we can offer for private land conservation in Queensland. So the Minister will be signatory to that, and so that will protect the vegetation and the habitat for threatened species like the cassowary and the Kuranda tree frog in perpetuity, so that can't be removed. And the most important part of that is that all of the landholders that we've been working with work so hard to protect their land. They take a huge amount of interest and passion in, protecting the habitat, removing the weeds, making the land better. And so to have all of that go to waste if they were to sell the block would be incredibly sad. So it's really important that this work is done. So the trust is a conservation trust. We were established with government in 2004. We then got devolved into a not-for-profit trust, and we sit totally independently now. But we provide this service for the state government to process nature refuges. There's been a bit of problems with capacity sometimes with getting things done, and one of our key missions is to protect Queensland's biodiversity, and this is a great way we can do that. So that's one of the reasons that we've been so heavily invested in providing this service for the Nature Refuge program. So the trust does also purchase land. We have a revolving fund model. So we have a few properties up in Far North Queensland, down in Mission Beach from here, properties where we've purchased the land, and the idea is that we put the Nature Refuge protection over them, and we then sell that land to like-minded people who have a vested interest in conservation, who can take on that land. We can then recycle that money and go and purchase other blocks of land around Queensland. So it's a really great way of continuing to build that protected area estate. And it's something that, we're really passionate and proud about that we're doing.
I'm Tony O'Malley from Terrain Natural Resource Management. Thanks a lot for inviting me along. So we've got a rainforest program which is funded by the Australian Government under the National Land Care Program, and that's for certain threatened species in ecological communities, cassowary, marby forest and littoral rainforest. And what the Australian Government's supporting us to do is to improve the condition and extent of their habitat, and also the protection of their habitat. So we work really closely with the cassowary recovery team, the marby group, and the littoral rainforest recovery team to say what are the most important projects for cassowary, marby, and littoral rainforest in the region where we can support re-veg, weed management, and habitat protection. And so through the cassowary recovery team, which Kuranda Conservation is a member of, we received an application to 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 get some habitat protection happening in the Kuranda region, and so we were able to fund that project so that Kuranda Conservation can engage Queensland Trust for Nature to do the assessment, so that then those properties can go to the Queensland government for their consideration to become nature refuges. So, we and the Cassowary recovery team considered that was a really excellent use of the funding, because through that a whole lot of habitat then becomes nature refuge. And I suppose it's also really acknowledging we have fantastic network of national parks in the region, but so much important habitat also occurs on private land. And when people can volunteer to protect their habitat into the future, and then that becomes part of that network of protected areas across the whole region in a global biodiversity hotspot, it's a really good outcome. And in addition to that, to assist that people to be able to do habitat protection through things like nature refuges, we also spoke with Environmental Defenders Office, who have the expertise in, what are the mechanisms like nature refuge available for private landholders to consider. And so Environmental Defenders Office have prepared these fact sheets which look at the various mechanisms whereby people can enter into those agreements. So they've now been launched and they're available to everybody. And I just really would like to thank Environmental Defenders Office for the work that they've done to make this information available to everyone, not only in the Wet Tropics but throughout Queensland.
Hi, I'm Kirstiana. I'm the Managing Lawyer at the Environmental Defenders Office in Cairns. We're now a national organisation with 8 offices around Australia, and biodiversity is one of our key focus areas moving forward. And so we're obviously really thrilled to have an opportunity to work with such great groups, both within government, stakeholders, landholders, and we're very grateful to Terrain for approaching us to develop and review the fact sheets so that we could provide clear, concise advice to all landholders on the best mechanisms and the more appropriate ways that they can actually use their land, protect biodiversity, conserve, and into the future. So yeah, we're just really grateful to work with such a wonderful group of people up in Kuranda. We've got a long history with many of you, and it's always just a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us to be part of it.
This has been quite a project of ours over the years. We, coming up to retirement and that, we wanted to buy some land up here for conservation. I've been volunteering in Cassowary conservation for quite a while, and it's just like a dream come true for me that it's happened this way. We bought the land, and in our minds there was some sort of questions. Well, we're doing all this work here and everything, and which we really enjoy and which we want to do in our retirement, but what happens to that when we are not about? And I didn't know there was anything else that we could do. I'm just hoping that my sons would carry on the good work. But then Jackson Joe told me about the Voluntary Land Conservation Program, and it's really happened really well. I'm just impressed how it's worked. There haven't been any glitches or anything. We've had really good communications with everybody, and it's just what we want. It was really something that we didn't know about, but I can see it'll be really good for us in the future. Yeah.
My name is Phil Daniels. I own this block of land in Kuranda with my wife. I guess the reason why we bought it is that we've always been interested in natural wildlife. Wherever we've gone, a lot of our holidays recently has been tailored towards wildlife and looking at wildlife, and we had the opportunity to buy this block of land about 3 years ago, and we knew that there were some native animals on the block of land through signs that we've sort of picked up. And we had a house built on it, but the bulk of it we wanted to keep for as natural as we could, so that we could keep that wildlife on our block of land and passing through the block of land. So when the opportunity came up about the changing it to a nature reserve, my wife found out about that through Kuranda Conservation with Jack. She's been volunteering there for quite a number of years. We decided what a terrific idea it would be to be able to keep the land that we've got even after we've gone, for the passing through and I guess the housing of the native animals. And so yeah, when that came up, and thought how sort of easy it would be, there's not really too many restrictions apart from keeping the land natural, which is what we wanted to do. So yeah, we decided to jump on it.